So, once again, on the road to Endgame, time to talk about another MCU movie. And this one, well, it was the first big one that the other movies were all leading up to. Yes, the Avengers. And by comparison, it's weaker than the two best ones they had, which was Iron Man and Captain America, the First Avenger. And it's kind of on level with Thor, and which makes sense because it's kind of directly following Thor and what happened there. And it's probably one of the strongest parts there is the relationship between Loki and Thor, where you have this the tragedy of the two brothers who do love each other, but that just makes the pain worse. There's Loki's jealousy of Thor and feeling that he was always only at best would be second best in the eyes of Odin and all this sort of thing. Meanwhile, Thor is guilt-ridden at the feelings that Loki has because he knows that he was arrogant and liked to strut around and yeah, I'm Thor and all that, and then he had to learn his lesson by being humiliated in his first movie by his father to teach him a lesson to become humble. You'll never be a king if you don't understand that and all this sort of thing. And Loki is still seething with hatred and rage over the position he was in, and but Thor, after redeeming himself, it just kind of proved him wrong. That ultimately Thor would come around, and Loki, at the last minute, believing that his master plan to rid the Asgard of their ultimate enemy and the Frost Giants should have been respected, and all this sort of thing. And of course, all the trouble it caused and the evil that he committed in doing his plan, he still gets rejected, and that's all he sees in that, because he's just, he's a messed up guy. And so that continues on into this movie, where Loki is hatching a plot to invade the Earth, all for the purposes of getting the Tesseract, which of course holds one of the stones. And little does anyone know, well, maybe Loki did know, I don't know, but the real mastermind, of course, is Thanos, which you find out in the teaser at the end of the film. And so that's Loki's motive there, after he was, and he says that I was tossed out into the void. No, Thor was trying to save him, but you just let go out of spite because you felt rejected and heartbroken by your father. So, and then you end up in this plot and leading the Chitauri into an invasion and all that. So it starts off with S.H.I.E.L.D., and we have the Tesseract, or as I prefer it, the Cosmic Cube, still in their hands, and they explain, Howard Stark found it and all this sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, here comes Loki, and it's all very spectacular. This is a really very large S.H.I.E.L.D. facility there that just gets utterly destroyed and sinks into the ground, and they barely make it out alive and all that. Hawkeye and what's his name? Eric Seelig, I believe, the professor from the Thor movie. They're both taken over by Loki, and they become his agents and so on and so forth. And this brings in Black Widow, who we see she's already in a case, and we're starting to get the Joss Whedon humor about how it looks like she's really in serious trouble there. These Russian criminals have got her captured, and they're interrogating her and all that. But she's really interrogating them because they're revealing everything, thinking they've got the upper hand on her and all that. And yeah. So she says, Coulson calls her and says, we got to call you in. And she says, I'm in the middle of an operation here. And he mentions that, well, we've lost Barton. Well, that triggers everything for her because her and Barton are close, and so she wipes out the guys who I've captured her and all that. And she goes in, and they tell her, you got to bring in the big guy, and she thinks they're talking about Iron Man, or wait, no. She has to go get the Hulk. Now, I guess for the MCU story, her meeting Dr. Banner is supposedly the beginnings of their romance. I don't really see it there, but all I see is that she's actually doing her damnedest to hold back how terrified she is of this man because of what he can become. And so there's this confrontation between them where she's trying to recruit him to come with her and join the Avengers and all that. And then, he does freak her out at one point where it looks like he's getting angry. She pulls a gun. It's not going to do any good. And there's a whole army outside hiding in the bushes. It's just, but as this being the beginning of their attraction, I can understand I'm sure he felt attracted just looking at her, but I mean, that they're going to become a couple. The obvious thing was that the story says that Hawkeye and Black Widow were very close, and she's, according to her, is that he was sent to kill her, but he ends up deciding to bring her to their side, which he does, and she's grateful to him for that, and that's it. Well, the original comic book story was they were lovers, and she was actually a spy, and she betrayed him. And then she kind of had to get redeemed and become, a regular hero and all that. The Ultimates version, well, she stayed a spy. She was really bad. But they didn't want to do that here. They keep her a hero. But for whatever reason, they decided not to do that. I don't know why. It would have been a problem that they had a relationship and they moved on. But they're still very friendly and close and care about each other and all that. But I don't know, whatever. They decided not to do that. So, because in the later movies, we revealed that Hawkeye is married with children and all this stuff. So, quite already leaps from the comic book material, and as to why, I don't know. Sometimes you got to do that because you got to encapsulate things within a movie, and it's understandable that there's going to be changes. It's not going to be a direct adaptation, but there's other things that I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but they just did. So there you go. Black Widow, Hulk, and of course Captain America. Nick Fury goes to get him, and he's still beating up on punching bags after being thawed out, because as the sequence, which I've done it out of sequence because I forgot, but Captain America, the First Avenger, was the movie that directly precedes this one, and the teaser at the end was Nick Fury meeting Steve Rogers and explaining to him what had happened, and so he's still kind of dealing with that, and so there's a few flashbacks from what happened in his movie and how it's weighing on him. And so now he's got a mission. Nick Fury says, well, we've got a big threat because of that cosmic cube that he says, yeah, you should have left it in the ocean. But there he reveals that, yes, Howard Stark found it, and they've had it ever since. And he didn't add in the part that, then some alien lady came in and we just gave it to her. And she's put it on her spaceship in orbit. And then this Air Force pilot who went missing came back with superpowers, and we got it back because her cat swallowed it and then barfed it on my desk at my office in SHIELD headquarters. Yeah, he forgot all that part, but that's where it was. And then I guess they put it in a better place after the cat threw it up. So there's that part. Oh boy. Anyway, and still hadn't explained how they forgot that they were calling themselves SHIELD, and then didn't remember to think of that later in 2008. But these things happen. They're very busy, and that can happen. So anyway, so there you go. You got your team. Iron Man, he's working on pursuing his free energy deal or cleaner energy, whatever. With his arc technology and all that. And then Coulson shows up, and apparently he's actually jealous that Pepper is on first name basis with Coulson. Don't worry, Tony. And so yeah, he gets recruited. He's reluctant about it, and that whole thing about him being rejected at the end of Iron Man 2. Don't worry about it. They bring him on anyway because, well, they have a potential extinction level event on the way. So this is the Iron Man we got. So we'll go with it. So they get recruited. They go to we see the Shield helicarrier. They show that, which is basically the design they took was just an aircraft carrier with rockets on it. Which is basically the idea. It's just the comic book version was a bit bulkier and stuff like that, but so what? And it looks cool, and they're all on there, and they're all, wow, look at that. And they meet each other, talk and everything. And then, Loki appears and is after an eyeball because they're stealing some material. And there, Loki, his master plan is to get himself caught, which he does, so he can get on that helicarrier. And, so Captain America shows up, and we see just how powerful his shield is as Loki tries to kill a man, and Captain America shows up, and it's a pretty spectacular entrance there. And then Iron Man joins the fight, and there you go. Iron Man and Captain America meet. Right off the bat, they don't particularly like each other because Iron Man is so arrogant, and Captain America sees him as rude. And so then they're pursuing. They've got Loki, and they're flying back to the Shield. And then, here comes Thor. He's looking for Loki, and this is an Asgardian business, and that's all he cares about. And he's got to get Loki and bring him back. And despite the fact that the Thor movie said that, with the Bifrost Bridge destroyed, there's no way for them to get back to Earth. But, there's always a way around. And then, of course, to be fair, the movie Loki revealed there's other ways of sneaking off Asgard rather than just the bridge. So, and he says, they had to use dark energy or something like that to conjure up a portal for Thor to escape. And he needs the Tesseract to get back. So he gets it by the end. But anyway, so then there's a battle between the three Avengers that are the Trinity of Marvel. The Trinity of DC, of course, is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Here, it's Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. And it's an interesting thing because it's a mixture of kind of the same characters. Thor, myth is more Wonder Woman, but he's also more Superman in power. Iron Man is like Batman. He's a billionaire and everything, but he's using the technology. He doesn't have the training and whatnot. But he's kind of closer to Bruce Wayne as far as his wealth, not personality-wise. It's completely different. But and then Captain America, personality-wise, is close to Superman, but power level, he's probably closer to Batman. But put them together, he's got to be stronger than Batman because the Super Soldier Serum does increase his strength beyond. You got the strongest guy. He's at the peak of human physical perfection that you reach, but he's still better than that because you've seen him. He bends steel and stuff like that. So he's nowhere near the league of Iron Man and Thor, and certainly not the Hulk. And none of them are with the Hulk, but there it is. So it's an interesting thing where there's a lot of similarities beyond just the obvious. It's three top superheroes for the Marvel, if you compare to the DC thing. But anyway, I don't think anyone thought of that when they were making these guys, but it's kind of interesting. So there they are. Of course, what do? They fight, and and then it was an interesting thing where Thor, he's fighting with Iron Man, and he decides to zap him with lightning. And then Tony realizes that, holy crap, I just got a supercharge of energy. I got more energy and power than I did before. And that's directly from the comics. There was a comic where Thor was being, mind controlled by Moondragon, and he fought with Iron Man and zapped him with lightning. And then Iron Man, well, buddy, you just gave me a super dose of power, so he's stronger than he normally would be. And he begins to pummel Thor and all that. So there you go. It's the suit has the ability to absorb. So shooting Iron Man with electricity is not a good idea. But Captain America comes in, girls, and they have to calm down and get back to S.H.I.E.L.D. So Loki is locked up, but of course it's all his plan, and with his magical staff, is sitting there, and with that he's still able to use it, and he preys on their emotions against one another and amplifies it to where they get more and more angry. And ultimately what he wants is the Hulk to Hulk out and tear everything up, which is what happens. So this damages them and everything. So Loki escapes. Thor ends up in the cage that was built for the Hulk, but with Loki was in it, and he tricks Thor again, because Loki, despite all the evil and stuff, is always smarter than Thor. So there goes Thor. Hulks out, tears up the ship, everything's falling apart. Iron Man is stuck having to repair the ship and save it from falling, and Captain America's helping him out. Hawkeye, of course, infiltrates the place, and so you got Hawkeye and the other agents of Loki there, and they don't say they're Hydra agents, but I kind of wondered if maybe they were. Because Hawkeye said, because they see, like, I said, where did you find all these guys? And he says, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s got a lot of enemies. So, kind of wondered if that's what it was. But anyway, they get in and they do all this, and Hawkeye gets captured by Black Widow, and then she has to kind of break the hold that Loki has over him. Now, Hawkeye and Black Widow fighting, and it's just a physical fight. Look at Hawkeye's arms. Those blows are kind of layer flat, you know. Now, it's very quick, so in close quarters, that her strongest asset is her legs that she uses all the time to flip people over and all that. So the way they do that, but still, you know. But it probably should have had her use some gadgets or whatnot. But anyway, he had to get captured, and there he is. He's captured, and she turns him back, and now he's on the team. Meanwhile, Coulson, of course, dies. Now, for the purposes of the TV show, they had to bring him back, but kind of ruins the whole thing, because it's a motivating factor that finally they realized they screwed up, and this guy got killed, and he was a big fan of all of them, and Iron Man particularly feels bad because he kind of just ignored him all the time. And now, oh crap, he's dead, and I treated him like shit. And Captain America's upset because Nick Fury says he puts out these bloody trading cards of Captain America that he wanted Captain America to sign. And and of course, this is where we learned that yes, he was lying. They were Coulson's cards, but they were in his locker. They were not in his suit as he died. But Fury wanted to motivate them, and it works. And so they go after Loki. They figure out he's going to Stark's Tower, which will become Avengers Tower when all the other Stark letters fall off and the A is left. See? Cute, huh? And the invasion happens. The Chitauri come in, and they have their big battle. And it's great. And there's some good choreography here, showing them all together and all that. And off they go. And of course, Loki is defeated. And probably the best scene is Hulk grabbing Loki after he's boasting and calling himself a god and all this. And Hulk just grabs him and slaps the floor. And that's it for Loki. So they are able to coordinate the battle, and obviously Captain America is the one who should be the field leader, which he does well. And then Iron Man almost has to sacrifice himself, and this sets up for Iron Man 3 the sort of post-traumatic stress disorder that Iron Man develops. He's never taken on anything like this, going through a portal to another dimension or another part of space or whatever it was. Yeah, really freaks him out, and he almost lost his life there. And but he falls down. We figured Thor takes a long time to realize, oh yeah, I can fly, and go save him. And finally, when he gets ready to the Hulk jumps in and saves him instead. So there you go. So the battle's won. The government tried to nuke the place, but that's why Iron Man had to save it and all that. So there's still these shadowy figures in charge, but Nick Fury knew better. And so it is, it's a fine film. It's solid. But it does portend some of the overuse of the Whedon humor that comes later. It kind of works out okay here, but boy, people trying to do it and copy it, it's not a good idea. So all in all, and showing how Justice League should have been done. Now, Avengers, of course, had the advantage of the previous movies, but still, even if you hadn't seen them, I think you still would have enjoyed the film for what it is. Because the stories, they're able to set up their stories within it. Justice League didn't have barely any of that. and still, and so, but the power of the shared universe story, once you've decided to do that, you've got to lay down the groundwork, and DC just didn't do that. So it was at a terrible disadvantage, even going in, even if it had been a better plotted film, it would still have some strong weaknesses going forward there. So anyway, Avengers, a good first showing, and a good showing of completing the idea that, yes, this is a shared universe and a TV series in the movie theaters. And, of course, we get the first appearance of Thanos. And you go, uh-oh, something terrible's coming. Well, it's already been admitted. They didn't know where they were going with that. They just knew that they were going to have some big movie later on going up against him. So that was kind of made up as they went along, but still, it's still the basics of an outline, and you definitely need that when you're going to make one of these ginormous shared universe deals. And at least for 10 years, they pretty much held it together. Boy, there's a lot of clouds forming right now, and I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, thank you for watching anyway. And for those of you who have already subscribed, thank you very much. And hey, while you're here, check out that link description below. That'll take you to my podcast on RadioMisfits.com and to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.